No, I actually like Caitlyn, and I'm just being real and truthful. She has brought millions. I wouldn't be surprised if it's billions of eyes onto the W and onto women's sports.
Sophie Cunningham has never been the type to bite her tongue, but her latest revelation about Caitlyn Clark is sending shockwaves through the WNBA. You also have to remember, like, she could be playing if it wasn't in the WNBA by now. Forget the rumors of quitting or running overseas. Sophie just gave an unfiltered explanation that cuts deeper than any injury report. What she exposed points to the relentless pressure, impossible expectations, and brutal reality facing the league's brightest star. This isn't about hype, it's about survival. Grab a seat as we uncover Sophie's shocking announcement and what it really means. The voice that refuses silence. In a league where silence is often rewarded and honesty comes with a price tag, Sophie Cunningham has chosen the harder path. While most players stick to scripted answers and careful public relations spin, Sophie has carved out a reputation as the WNBA's most unfiltered truth-teller. And she's paying for it, literally. In 2024 alone, the league has fined her thousands of dollars for saying out loud what many players only whisper behind closed doors. It started with a TikTok post calling out questionable officiating, a single comment that drained $500 from her paycheck. Or is it slow? Maybe it's useless. Then came a podcast segment exposing inconsistent calls, costing her another $1,500. Will the WNBA find me for no, you got fined for episode 1? They fined me $1,500. I'm like, what? I'm like, this is just the beginning. Like, you're kidding. And when she went a step further, daring to accuse the league of outright favoritism, the penalty amount wasn't even disclosed. They just slapped her with another fine and moved on, hoping the message was clear. Shut up and play. But Sophie refuses to play that game. She keeps talking, and that's what makes her so dangerous to the status quo. Think about it. WNBA salaries range from around $64,000 to $242,000 a year. For many players, a $1,500 fine is the equivalent of losing 2 weeks' rent or part of their off-season paycheck. That kind of financial punishment would silence almost anyone. Yet, Sophie keeps pushing forward, taking the hits, and telling fans what's really happening inside the league. This makes her more than just another athlete voicing frustration after a tough game. She's become the league's unofficial whistleblower, the player willing to absorb fines, criticism, and potential career risks just to bring the truth into the open. And it's that reputation that makes her voice so important. Because when Sophie talks, fans know it's not empty speculation or a desperate grab for attention. It's first-hand testimony from someone living inside the grind. Her decision to keep speaking out, even when it costs her, sets the stage for everything that follows. It's why her words about Caitlyn Clark carry so much weight. Sophie isn't spinning a headline. She's exposing uncomfortable realities that the league would rather keep buried. And that's what makes her voice impossible to ignore. So, was Sophie hinting at hidden pressure or accusing the league of holding Clark back? Don't blink. The answer changes everything. The bombshell about Caitlyn Clark. 4 weeks, the biggest question swirling around the WNBA has been the same. When is Caitlyn Clark coming back? Reporters have asked coaches, teammates, and league officials, all hoping for a concrete timeline. Fans scroll through updates daily, desperate for clarity. But instead of clear answers, they've been fed vague statements. Day by day, we'll see next week. No update at this time. The silence has only fueled speculation. And then Sophie Cunningham shattered it on her podcast. Without drama or build-up, she dropped a single line that changed the conversation overnight. She could be playing if it wasn't in the WNBA. You also have to remember, like, she could be playing if it wasn't in the WNBA by now. Those words hit like a thunderclap. They weren't coming from a fan on social media or an outsider speculating from the sidelines. They came from someone inside the league, someone who knows firsthand the brutal reality of what it takes to compete at this level. For Caitlyn Clark's millions of supporters, Sophie's statement was more than surprising. It was alarming. Think about what Sophie was saying. This isn't just about Caitlyn needing more time to recover from an injury. It's about the environment she's trying to return to. Sophie made it clear. Caitlyn's absence isn't about weakness or lack. It's self. At Iowa, Caitlyn dominated. She was the face of college basketball, drawing record crowds, selling out arenas, and lifting TV ratings to historic heights. Her range, her vision, her ability to single-handedly change games made her a generational talent. But in the WNBA, Sophie revealed that those accomplishments don't automatically translate. Here, you can't just be good. You have to be flawless. And if you're not ready physically, mentally, competitively, the league will chew you up. That was the bombshell. Sophie wasn't insulting Caitlyn's skill. She was exposing a truth most people didn't want to hear. The WNBA has reached a level of intensity where even a superstar like Caitlyn Clark needs more time to adapt. It's not a question of heart, it's a question of survival. By saying Caitlyn could already be playing anywhere else, Sophie highlighted just how punishing this league has become. Overseas or even back in college, Caitlyn might already be on the court, dazzling fans. But here, the demands are so extreme that rushing back could jeopardize not just her season but her entire career. And that's why Sophie's words landed with such force. She wasn't just updating fans. She was sounding an alarm, pulling back the curtain on a league that might be too brutal even for its brightest star. But if the WNBA is this unforgiving for a generational star like Caitlyn, what chance does anyone else have? Keep watching to find out. The brutal standard of the WNBA. When Sophie Cunningham said Caitlyn Clark could be playing if it wasn't in the WNBA, she wasn't exaggerating. She was pointing to a reality that most fans only glimpse on the surface, but players feel in their bones every single night. The WNBA is not just another level up from college ball, it's an entirely different universe. And in this universe, good isn't good enough. At Iowa, Caitlyn Clark was untouchable. Her skill, her range, her vision made her unstoppable against college defenses. But in the WNBA, the defenders are faster, stronger, and relentlessly physical. Every player on the court was once the best in her program. Every roster spot belongs to someone who clawed their way through years of elite competition just to survive. And Sophie laid it out bluntly. At this level, you can't just be talented. You have to be flawless. She described the league in terms that made fans pause. To Sophie, WNBA games often feel less like basketball and more like rugby. The contact is constant. The hits are harder. Players talk openly about needing armor just to get through a season. And referees, they let far more contact go than fans realize, creating an environment where toughness isn't optional. It's mandatory. Now imagine stepping back onto that kind of stage after an injury. In most leagues, stars are carefully eased back in with minutes restrictions and added protection from referees. But in the WNBA, the margin for error is razor thin. One misstep, one hesitation, and the league's physicality can end a comeback before it even begins. That's the brutal standard Sophie was exposing. Overseas, Caitlyn might already be back on the floor. In college, she would almost certainly be playing by now. But in the WNBA, rushing back means risking far more than a few shaky performances. It could mean re-injury, loss of confidence, or even careering setbacks. And here's the key detail. Sophie wasn't calling Caitlyn soft. Quite the opposite. She made it clear that Caitlyn's work ethic and toughness aren't in question. What she was highlighting is how extreme the WNBA has become. The league is the deepest it has ever been. From the starting five down to the last bench spot, the competition is fierce. There's no weak link, no easy matchup. Every possession is a battle, and every player has the power to expose even the smallest weakness. So when Sophie said Caitlyn's absence isn't just about healing, she was pointing to this exact reality. Caitlyn isn't sitting out because she lacks heart. She's sitting out because, in today's WNBA, anything less than 100% readiness is a recipe for disaster. The league doesn't give players time to find their rhythm. It demands that they arrive fully prepared or risk being swallowed whole. And that's the heart of Sophie's bombshell. Caitlyn's situation isn't just a personal struggle, it's a reflection of the league's evolution. The WNBA has become so competitive, so physical, and so unforgiving that even generational stars need more time just to survive. It's a brutal standard, and as Sophie hinted, it might not even be sustainable. Favoritism and the two-tier system. Sophie Cunningham has never been the type to bite her tongue. And when she turned her criticism toward the WNBA, it wasn't out of bitterness but out of frustration with what she saw as a dangerous pattern. To her, the issue wasn't just the grueling demands of the league, it was that those demands weren't applied equally. Some players, she argued, were given cushion and protection, while others were left to endure relentless physicality without help from officials. It was, in her words, a two-tier system. The most glaring example came during a heated matchup when JCS Sheldon drove into Caitlyn Clark and delivered a shot straight to her face. It wasn't subtle. It was reckless, obvious, and could have easily sidelined Clark again. Yet, after a review, the officials downgraded it 10-2. A flagrant one, the kind of punishment more suited for a careless bump than a strike that risked injury. Moments later, Marina McBride shoved Clark with both hands, sending her crashing to the hardwood. No attempt at the ball, no pretense of a basketball move, just a shove. And the response. No ejection, no serious consequence. When crew chief Ashley Gloss defended the decision, claiming it didn't meet the threshold for an ejection, the message was crystal clear. Clark was on her own. That silence, that refusal to act, was exactly what Sophie had been warning about long before. She had already risked her reputation and wallet by saying aloud what fans and players saw unfolding. On her podcast, she described how officiating tilted games, recounting matchups where certain stars seemed wrapped in invisible protection, while others were battered with little reprieve. She mentioned Paige Buchers as an example, recalling a night where whistles seemed to follow her every move. "You literally couldn't touch her," Sophie vented. It wasn't anger at Paige's talent. Sophie respected that. It was about fairness, about the credibility of a league that claimed to uphold integrity but showed favoritism in plain sight. Caitlyn Clark's case made the imbalance impossible to ignore. The rookie wasn't just any player, she was the one filling arenas, the one broadcasters couldn't stop talking about, the one the league itself was banking on to attract new fans. Yet, instead of receiving protection to ease her transition into the toughest stage of her career, she was thrown into the fire. Every collision, every shove, every no call became part of her initiation. And for Sophie, watching that unfold in real time was the breaking point. Late in that same game, after watching Clark endure blow after blow, Sophie made her stand. As Sheldon went up for a layup, Cunningham dragged her down. Deliberate, unapologetic. It wasn't a basketball play, it was a message. If the officials refused to protect their star, then she and her teammates would. After the final buzzer, she didn't soften her stance or pretend otherwise. She admitted what everyone already knew. This was payback. Years of silence from the league, years of officials ignoring dangerous hits had led to this moment. Sophie's act wasn't just retaliation against a single play. It was a warning shot at the system itself. But if retaliation was loud on the court, why did silence off it feel even louder? Keep watching. The silence around Caitlyn's injury for all the noise surrounding Caitlyn Clark's absence. Sophie Cunningham revealed something that stunned fans even more than her comments about physicality or favoritism. Nobody actually knows what's going on. Not the fans, not the reporters, and shockingly, not even her own teammates. On her podcast, Sophie admitted flat out, "I'm not holding out any information. I just literally don't know." Pause and think about that. In almost every other professional league, when a star player goes down, transparency is non-negotiable. The NBA releases detailed injury reports on LeBron James. The NFL issues daily updates on quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes. Even in college sports, fans are given a timeline, no matter how vague. But in the WNBA, the silence around Caitlyn Clark has been deafening. This isn't just about one player's recovery. Caitlyn isn't an ordinary rookie. She's the reason television ratings spiked, arenas sold out, and mainstream media finally started covering women's basketball on a new level. Her presence isn't just valuable, it's foundational. Without her, half the league's momentum feels like it's evaporated overnight. And yet, the updates offered to the public remain maddeningly vague day by day. No update at this time. We'll see next week. That isn't clarity. It's deflection. And Sophie's confession confirmed what many already suspected. The league is controlling the narrative, keeping Caitlyn's condition deliberately vague. Why? That's the question burning through social media. Is the silence about protecting Caitlyn's privacy? Is it an attempt to avoid panic from sponsors and networks? Or is it part of a deeper pattern? The same one that fines players for speaking out, that hides officiating inconsistencies, and now perhaps conceals the truth about its biggest star. Whatever the reason, this blackout leaves Caitlyn in an impossible position. Without official updates, rumors rush to fill the gap. Fans speculate endlessly online. Is she struggling more than we've been told? Is she being rushed or held back? Is this about health or something bigger? And here's where Sophie's honesty cuts deepest. If even she, Caitlyn's peer, her competitor, her fellow WNBA insider, can't get answers, then what exactly is being hidden? For Sophie, admitting she's in the dark wasn't just a passing comment. It was confirmation of something bigger. That the league's silence isn't an oversight. It's a choice. And it's one that forces Caitlyn Clark to fight not only her recovery but also the weight of constant speculation, fan speculation, and bigger questions. When official updates dry up, rumors always rush to fill the gap. And that's exactly what's happening with Caitlyn Clark. The silence from the WNBA has left fans scrambling for answers, and the speculation online is growing louder by the day. Scroll through social media, and you'll see the same themes popping up again and again. Concerns that go far beyond a simple ankle or knee injury. Some fans fear this isn't random bad luck at all. They argue that Caitlyn's string of injuries is directly tied to how the league treats her on the court. Without consistent officiating protection, they say she's being battered night after night, setting her up for long-term problems. One viral comment summed it up bluntly. This is just going to be her career if the league keeps letting people foul the hell out of her every game. Others take a different angle, pointing fingers at the WNBA itself. They ask why every injury update sounds the same. Day by day, no clear timeline, no medical report. In other leagues, uncertainty sparks press conferences, detailed breakdowns, even investigative coverage. In the WNBA, it sparks suspicion. Is the league hiding something? Are officials deliberately vague to protect its image? And then there are the whispers about alternatives, whispers growing louder with each passing week. Fans have noticed that overseas leagues often provide better conditions for their stars. In Europe or Asia, players are paid more, receive structured recovery plans, and, ironically, get more transparency around injuries. These aren't just fringe theories either. The reality is that dozens of WNBA players have already taken that path, splitting time or even leaving altogether because the financial and physical demands of the WNBA weren't sustainable. For Caitlyn, the speculation is obvious. Could she one day do the same? Could the league's most important rookie, the face of its current surge in popularity, decide she's better off somewhere else? Nobody is saying it will happen tomorrow, but the fact that fans are even asking the question is a warning sign. Here's what makes this speculation dangerous for the WNBA. It's not just wild fan fiction. Every time Sophie Cunningham speaks up, she validates these concerns. She has said outright that Caitlyn could already be playing if this were another league. She's confirmed that favoritism shapes how games are called, and she's admitted that even she doesn't know Caitlyn's recovery timeline. In other words, Sophie isn't just fueling the speculation. She's legitimizing it. And that's the bigger issue. This isn't just about Caitlyn Clark missing a few games. It's about trust. If fans start to believe the WNBA is hiding the truth, if players keep confirming their worst fears, then the league isn't just dealing with an injury crisis. It's staring at a credibility crisis. And that kind of damage doesn't heal with time. And if the league's biggest threat isn't injuries but lost trust, what happens then? Stay tuned. Sophie's legacy and the league's future. At the center of this entire storm isn't just Caitlyn Clark's injury. It's Sophie Cunningham, the player who refused to stay silent. In a league where speaking out means losing thousands of dollars, Sophie still chose to risk her paycheck, her reputation, and even her standing with the WNBA just to tell the truth as she saw it. Think about that. Every fine was a warning shot meant to keep her quiet. Yet, she kept going. She admitted that the league